us free.
Your Honor, please instruct the defendant that he cannot disrupt these proceedings with such outbursts.
Give us freedom! Give us freedom!
If we are to have any semblance of orderliness,
Give us freedom!
Peace, unity, and welcome my conscious and unconscious family and friends. This is the all-new BlackVillage Community Podcast, and I am truly your host of the show, JC, aka Afro Black, dropping nothing but the raw and uncut, without any fear, as I use my mic as a spear to chuck you with liberated truth. I am your host and your native soldier in the struggle. My purpose and mission for this show is first to enlighten, inform, and engage. And I want to engage with all who claim to know the truth. All truth seekers and my native family, I welcome you. This show is dedicated to all our indigenous native ancestors and to all those who've carried the mantle of truth, and to every person with the ability to throw off the chains of comfortable habit and unwarranted assumption and move in a new, liberated direction that is guided by truth and observational evidence, no matter where that direction may lead you. My main objective and purpose here is freedom, mind, soul, and spirit. That being said, welcome to the BlackVillage Community Podcast, and much love from our great universal goddess and mother of all living here and above.
In the house.
The birthplace of General Motors, Flint, Michigan is now a symbol of industrial decline, with high poverty and crime rates. And now, a new danger. It's brotha.
Sons and daughters for fun. Washing my face and hands with nothing but bottled water and wipes. To save a buck, Snyder's administration room with the pipes. And now we're fighting for our lives and asking who can we trust. Problems about us, these politicians, they ain't trying to discuss. And then they wonder why we rarely vote, I'm keeping it real. If you're not from Flint, then you could never understand how we feel. Rachel Maddow broke the story, now it's worldwide news. I wish the governor could walk a couple blocks in my shoes, so he could witness all this poverty and crime that exists, and all this hatred and racism we've been fighting against. City and land.
Hey, I am here with you. This is JC, aka Afro Black, and I'm here with you today at the BlackVillage Community Podcast. And so today's podcast subject is a update, you feel me? If you're joining me here today on YouTube, or if you're joining me here just tuning in, this is JC, aka Afro Black, and I am here, and you have joined me here at the BlackVillage Community Podcast, you feel me, for another indigenous delicious, you feel me, update and informative podcast, dropping nothing but the raw and uncut here on the Black Village. That's what we do. And if you want to chime in, if you want to join me here, if you want to just come and listen in, or if you just want to join me here at in our live village chat room, you can chime in at 857-232-0155. Again, that is area code 857-232-0155. And don't forget the conference key to get through the conference door, and that is 947595. Again, that is 947595 to get through the conference door to sit with me here and ask any question or just chime in or join in on the discussion here at the Black Village Community Podcast. And so I'm going to get this thing going. Let me give you something a little bit more laid up. There we go. Some Tupac in the backdrop, you feel me? To get this thing going and popping off, you feel me? And so, let me let you guys know today's podcast topic is politics, power, and poverty in America. Again, today's podcast topic is, and I quote, politics, power, and poverty in America. Subtitled, this is a Black Village Podcast update. You feel me? I'm going to update. There's three things I want to deal with today. Okay? There's three things I want to talk about today. You feel me? That's affecting us. And when I talk about us, I'm talking about American Aborigines. I'm talking about so-called black folks who think they are African American. You feel me? And they don't know who they are because they're not listening to their grandmothers. They're not listening to their family like they're supposed to. You feel me? And as a result, you got black folks walking around here claiming a false artificial construct of an identity. That's who I'm talking about, and that's who I'm talking to today. I'm not talking, the Black Village don't specifically talk to anybody outside their realm of indigenous Aboriginal, because this podcast is all about waking up the sleeping Aborigine, waking up the sleeping so-called AKA Black Indian. And that's what the Black Village is all about. And so today's podcast topic, when I'm talking about politics, power, and poverty in America, I'm talking about things that affect the indigenous original people of this land. You feel me? The people who don't know that they're born and that they're living on the very soil that was originally inhabited by their ancestors, which weren't Africans. You got a whole bunch of Negroes running around here still trying to connect us to Africa. You got a whole bunch of, and I'm talking about a lot of these Negroes live right here in America. A lot of these Negroes have immigrated from other places, not just Africa, but even the Caribbean islands. But let me go on to the updates that I want to talk about today, okay? Today, the update alerts I want to talk about today here on the Black Village, specifically I want to talk about is three areas. And you heard the intro of the show, which was the Dayton family, that rap intro to my show, dealing with Flint, Michigan. So I want to talk about an update on what's going on in Flint, okay? So that's one thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is the brother who was killed just recently by the name of Botham Shem Jean. I want to talk about that as well. The Dallas shooting that happened. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about it. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. A cop claims she walks into the wrong apartment, yet she is in the apartment building. She lives on the third floor, and she ends up on the fourth floor, and she ends up in a brother's apartment and killing a brother. That all sounds suspect, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't surprise white folks when indigenous brothers, indigenous sisters say it's suspect, or even just melanated people in general say that sounds smoky, that sounds stinky, that sounds funky. It don't even sound right. Mind you, let me say this as well. Let me go to the third thing I want to touch on, because this is about to get me heated. You feel me? The third thing I want to Serena Williams. The devastating loss. I say devastating because she did not lose right out. That was all set up. In my opinion, that's all suspect too. The girl has been winning back to back. I'm going to talk about her. Look, Serena Williams is a tennis legend. I'm gonna say it again. She's a tennis legend. When I talk about her record, and I got her record right here on my screen. Let me go to this girl's record, okay? When we talk about Serena Williams, it doesn't matter if you're talking about even her sister, who in my opinion is second in rank to her. Okay, and that's because her sister had to take a leave of absence because of, medical reasons, and she's a mother. Okay, Serena just became a mother just recently. Her sister Venus has been a mother, I think, 2 or 3 times over. But I'm looking at Serena's record. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. She's a legend. The girl's a legend, and so. Let me start this podcast off by talking about the thing that got under my skin the most. The thing that got under my skin the most, okay? Other than the Flint, Michigan situation with the poisoned pipes. And, everybody's talking about lead, but lead is not the only issue with those pipes. There's all types of toxins and pollutants that was in that water. Lead is only one thing or one lead aspect that led the conversation to open up to a discussion at all once everybody started listening, because I want you to know, for the longest, while those people were being poisoned, for the longest, nobody said nothing. For at least a couple, 2 to 3 years, nobody would listen. And I'm not just talking about media. I'm talking about the officials of Flint, the political officials and administrators of Flint would not listen to the people. You feel me? Their voices were falling on deaf ears, yet their water was brown. They wanted the people to drink brown water. They sound like to me they were poisoning the people. So let me talk about the update on what's going on. And let me not talk about with Flint. Let me talk about first, before I go into Flint. Get all upset and I get aroused. I mean, I get upset. I get my emotions get the rolling when I'm talking about things that touches my heart. When I'm talking about things that would got to do my land and my people on my land. Yeah, my people. You feel me? Regardless if you know who you are or not, you're born on American soil to an indigenous mother. How do you know your mother is indigenous? When your mother's mother and your mother's mother and your mother's mother is from America 9 times out of 10. As Brother Dane Calloway, my comrade and indigenous scholar, and his brother, as he says, 98% of so-called African Americans are actually indigenous Aboriginal Americans. Indigenous Niji, you feel me? So whenever I'm talking about what's happening to us, especially when it comes to the fact that you can see what's going on, nobody's stupid to what's going on in Flint. Nobody's stupid to what happened to that brother. I'm saying, and nobody was stupid what happened to Serena. They took that from her. They took that from her because they're tired of her basically beating those white girls at tennis. They're tired of her walking away with the cup every year. They're tired of her winning all the tennis grand slams. They're tired of it. And so they decide to give it to the next best, and the next, only the next best, but the next person that looked, she looked like she can be black. Yeah. Have you seen Naomi Osaka? The one who they gave it to by basically penalizing Serena, harassing Serena during her game. That's what that referee was doing. Look, I'm getting into it already, okay? By them harassing her, penalizing her unnecessarily, unfairly, getting her to get upset to the point that she smashed her. They were setting her up to lose, to give that to that girl. Shit, that girl knows that. That's why people, when it came down to giving out the trophy, the girl got booed. Naomi Osaka got booed. Yes, she did. And it's not her fault. The people who should be blamed are the tennis officials, including that white racist umpire and whoever was pulling his strings. Because that was all. There you go. But let me go into this, okay? And I'm going to tell you, I'm not the only one that believe what happened to Serena is suspect. Okay, so I'm going to start with Serena, then I'm going to go on down to what happened to Brother Botham, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this, and then I'm going to go on down, and I'm going to go into Flint. And so let me get started here, okay, you people, and I might just go a little bit over into my time. So I'm reading right now from an article. This article is by KTSA a newsworthy radio broadcast, so to speak. Okay, it's called. You can go check it out yourself. KTSA. It's called Stay Connected, and so this is their, I guess, journalistic analyzation of what happened and what went on. And the title of this article is titled "The Controversial Tennis Umpire at the Center of the Serena Williams U.S. Open Drama." Okay, so let me read this. Okay. It is hard to upstage Serena Williams on the tennis court or to take away the shrine from a 20-year-old record breaker, Naomi Osaka. Oh, record breaker. Whose record did she break? Oh, she broke Serena's record because she always wins these Opens, okay? Osaka became the first Japanese tennis slam winner. But Carlos Ramos did just that. Carlos Ramos is the umpire, okay? The longtime tennis umpire became the subject of widespread scrutiny on Saturday night after a series of calls against Williams during the U.S. Open Women's Finals. Ramos is a gold badge level umpire who has been the deciding force in a number of high-profile matches. But his call in the final match prompted outrage both on and off the court. Ramos gave Williams a penalty because her coach was admittingly coaching from off the court. Like I say, I believe this thing was set up, even with her coach. What the hell you doing illegal signals on the side doing a professional champion match? Yeah. And he admitted that he was doing it. Her coach admitted it, and he also said most likely Serena could not see him. Matter of fact, he said he know she didn't see what he was doing. My point is, what the hell are you doing, dude? You're a professional tennis coach. Okay, let me finish reading this, okay? All right, now, Ramos is a gold badge level umpire who has been the deciding force in a number of high-profile matches, but his call in the final match prompted outrage both on and off the court. Ramos gave Williams a penalty because her coach was admittingly coaching from off the court, which is barred in the sport. Barred in the sport, though it is widely understood to be a common practice. The second penalty came after Williams later smashed her racket against the ground. He gave her a penalty for smashing her tennis racket, which I've seen a number of pro tennis professionals smash their racket out of anger, and they weren't penalized, especially men, and they were not penalized. Okay, I'll go all right. The third incident came shortly after that when Williams yelled at Ramos over the call, with her calling him a thief, which then prompted him to classify that a verbal abuse towards the umpire. Because that was her third penalty of the game, the rule of the sport mandate that it prompt a game penalty. That means basically he gave the game to Naomi. He gave that, there's a number of games you have to play in tennis before the final, and he gave that match to her. All right, let me read on down. All right. Katrina Adams, United States Tennis Association president and CEO, talked about the controversy with the ESPN day after the match. I would say last night is unfortunate, Adams said to ESPN. And we have to have constant consistency, because when you look at what the women, in this case Serena, is feeling, we watch the guys do all the time. They're badgering the chair umpire on the changeover. Nothing happens. As for Ramos, Adams said that the umpire are reviewed throughout the tournament, and nothing has suggested that he should not be assigned to the women's final. His record was good, so there was no reason for us not to be putting him in the chair, Adams said. We have to treat each other fairly. Okay, we didn't go through all that. Bottom line was this. she's even seeing that it looks like to her that something don't look right. Like he took some things too far. So let me go further down. Okay. Let me get off this. It's a bunch of crap. Bottom line, everybody saw what was done. And as a result of him penalizing her like he did and frustrating her like he did, basically they gave the final match to Naomi, giving her the win over Serena. But you know what? It's okay. And Serena took it like a pro. She took it like a woman. She took it like the tennis pro player that she is and the professional that she is. The only thing she did not take was the unfair penalizing that umpire was doing, which led up to her losing that match. That's what she wasn't taking, because she saw what he was doing. The thing about it, I wish she would have dealt with it a little bit better, because the way she reacted, her frustration, her anger to the point that she could not play her game, is exactly what they wanted. It's exactly what they wanted, so they can give that game to the Japanese, to make the Japanese happy. Okay, it made her happy. I'm glad the girl played good, and for her to get up there to the level where she was playing against Serena, the girl had to have worked hard. So I have to give it to Naomi. She, there's nothing on her part that she did wrong. It's those surrounding the game, because they've always played hard, they've always worked hard, and they've always challenged Serena at the level that she is, because she makes them white girls play hard. She make them white girls play hard if they're going to win. Because if they're not going to play hard, they're not going to win with her in the game. Because Serena ain't playing. She's all about winning. And her record shows that. So let me go to her record. Okay? Because as I said, the girl has an her record ain't no joke. Her record is no joke. Let me look at this. Let me read this to you right here. And this is taken from SB Nation. You can go check this out on SB Nation and check out the title of this. Every jaw-dropping Serena Williams statistic you'll ever need to know. Again, every jaw-dropping Serena Williams statistic you'll ever need to know. So let me go into it, okay? The most obvious ones, her most obvious achievements in tennis. Check this out. This is the one everyone knows, and which Serena is still adding to. She's officially passed Steffi Graf with her 2017 Australian Open win. Is showing no signs of setting at the holding record. So far, she's beaten 11 different players who have held the number one ranking, and she's beaten her sister Venus in a slam final 7 times. 7 times. Woo! As the overall slam crown, Serena has a bit farther to go to take over the Martina Navratilova at 56. Between her single titles, doubles, and mixed doubles, Serena only sits at 39 titles total. She has 39 titles. 1 out of 2 players in the Open era have won each major 3 or more times. She and Steffi Graf are the only ones able to say this as a single player, as Steffi has won each of the slams for 4 or more times. Palm Shriver also holds the title. But check this out. Serena has won a major tournament in 3 consecutive decades, a group in women's tennis that includes Serena, and that's it. Nobody has done that. Again, Serena has won a major tournament in 3 consecutive decades, a group in women's tennis that includes only Serena Williams. And that is, she has the longest winning span between majors of any women in the Open era from 1999 to 2017. Can't nobody touch her. Can't nobody touch her. Do you feel me? That girl who was given that win should feel honored that she plays Serena, and she does. Okay? Look, I can go on. This girl got the Australian Open wins. She has the most Grand Slam wins, the most match wins at the Australian Open, the most WTA titles among active players, the most prize money, most matches won among active player. Look, the list goes on. The girl's a goddess in tennis. Serena Williams is a goddess in tennis. And them white devils know it, and they hate it. Go look up tennis and go read the history in tennis. There was only a couple black people in tennis back in the 70s and the 60s. I'm going to tell you right now, they hate the fact that this girl is constantly beating white girls at tennis. So they say, well, the next person who's coming up next to her looks like she's closer to, well, you know, let's give it to her. And I got to give it to her for her to get up there to that rank to even play Serena. I'm not saying she deserved to win, but she deserved it from the aspect that she's innocent from what was going on with this umpire and whoever was pulling his strings to do what they do to take it from Serena, because it was not Naomi Osaka who took it from Serena. It's the white devils in tennis and those white devils behind the tennis administrators and those in office who did that. But it's okay. Look at her record. I challenge anybody, go look up Serena's tennis record. Put it next to anybody's. They can't fade her. Why you think whenever they talk about her record, they got to talk about what's that girl? I just mentioned her name. Navratilova, whatever her German name is. Serena. Naff. Terps, whatever. Yeah, here it is. Steffi Graf. Yeah, Steffi Graf. And that's what they got to talk about tennis players who ain't playing no more. Whenever they talk about a tennis record, a tennis career, a tennis wins, tennis champions, and they see Serena's name automatically has to come up. And whenever they talk about her, they got to talk about the old school players who ain't playing no more, and they already in their 50s and 60s and 70s. Because these white girls who are playing now can't even fade her, can't touch her, still today. And Serena is what, in her 30s? She's in her 30s, and she's still at the top of her rank. So let me go on to the next subject, okay? My next update, okay? So that was my thing. I don't want to talk about Serena. I'm pretty sure everybody heard about what happened to Serena. But again, I want you to know the reason why I brought it up, because it all looked suspect to me. It looked like they purposely took that game from her and gave it to that Japanese girl. And why I believe they did that? Because they're tired of looking at that black woman constantly whoop those white girls. So they say, let's give it to the Japanese. And it's all good. That Japanese girl played hard. And you know what? Let her have it. Serena got so many trophies and so many wins and so many championships and so many records that she can give one away. It's all gravy and potatoes. You know, it ain't Naomi's fault. It's the white devil's fault. So let me go on to the next subject. The next subject I want to talk about is Botham Shem Jean. Botham Shem Jean. The reason why I want to talk about Botham Shem Jean is because not only that it's very obvious that this brother was killed, and it's really suspect to say it was an accident. It don't look like an accident whatsoever. The reason why it don't look like an accident is when you see the whole picture, the fact that this woman stayed on the 3rd floor, the brother she killed stayed on the 4th floor. The brother had a red doormat outside his door. She has no red doormat. And it was an apartment building. We all know apartment buildings have what? Either letters or numbers on it. How can you not know your own apartment number? It don't make sense. And so, you know, let me play this. And you know what? And we'll get into it. And I'll take it to the next level as I play the news update on what's going on. Then I'll take it from there.
A Texas family is demanding answers after a man was shot by a Dallas police officer who says she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Botham Jean was laid to rest yesterday, and an attorney for his family is now casting doubt on the official story. The police officer who pulled the trigger says she thought she was entering her own home and opened fire on who she thought was an intruder. CNN's Ryan Young has more on this and goes inside the victim's apartment to see himself what happened. Here's his report.
Unit 1478 was Botham Jean's apartment. It's where the 26-year-old's young life was cut short when he was shot by a police officer in his living room. A small memorial, flowers, and a photo with his mother adorn his front door. This is video witnesses of Amber Geiger pacing around upset moments after the shooting. Officer Geiger tells investigators she shot John after mistaking his apartment for her own. Geiger tells investigators that after work, she parked her car on the wrong floor, walked to the wrong apartment, and that John's door was slightly open. In her statement to police, Geiger says she gave verbal commands before firing 2 shots. Lee Merritt says witnesses tell a different story.
They both heard a knock or a pounding on the door, followed by a female's voice saying, "Open up, let me in." She said the voice didn't sound like an officer command, but sounded like someone who wanted to be let into the apartment. She said that was shortly followed by the sound of gunshots and the sound of a man's voice saying what she believed to be, "Oh my God, why did you do that?"
The John family's attorney and the family are now upset by the leak of a search warrant that indicates officers went inside John's apartment looking for drugs. Officers say they did find and remove several items, including a small amount of marijuana. The warrant does not indicate who the items belong to. It's unknown if a search warrant was executed at the officer's apartment.
26 years on this earth, he lived his life virtually without blemish. And it took being murdered by a Dallas police officer for Botham Jean to suddenly become a criminal. There is a clear intent here to smear the name of Botham Jean.
During a moving funeral service, we learned much more about John and his accomplishments. Family and friends talked openly about his love of people, for singing, and the fact that he was a high-achieving employee on a partnership track at the accounting firm PwC.
PwC is hurting, not just in Dallas, but all across.
You heard it. You heard me. You heard it. You heard it. I just, I had to cut in on that, because it's really sad, okay? But I'm not, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to discuss this. My queen is here. Queen, are you there? Can you hear it? Can you go ahead and say hi to the community?
Hello, my beautiful people.
Okay, yeah. So, you heard, I talked about Serena. I'm talking about this brother right here. Give me your thoughts on which one you want to talk about. Share your thoughts with the community. It's obvious to me, both situations to me look like suspect. What do you think?
From what I saw, the video footage from the Serena match, it did look like the umpire was trying to goat her into even continue until he penalized her out of the game. As well as basically saying that, basically showing, for lack of a better term, male chauvinism to kick her out of that game. Because they've watched him ref other games, they've watched him do other games, and he has not penalized men in the same situation as he did her. As if he's holding, she's a female, she's a black female, we have to hold her to a higher standard than white men. And as far as that goes, that's my take on that. And as far as, with the system we have for our police departments, the laws set up to protect them no matter what they do, even if it's wrong, they murder somebody, they violate a crime, they're so protected that in the midst of them committing any crime, they pretty much get away with it. It's just the laws, especially here where we are, protect the officers even if they commit murder. There's no justice for what they have done. So with this female officer, what she did, killing this black man in his own apartment, I don't care how tired you are, you're not going to sit there and try to get into an apartment that's not yours and not recognized as not yours eventually because the door was locked, not open. Witnesses heard her banging on the door. They heard a completely different story and saw a different story than what she gave.
Yeah, because she claimed...
And then with them coming in with some sort of search warrant of his apartment right afterwards around the same time, as if trying to create a story that can help her out here.
Well, also let me mention that she claimed that the door was open. She claimed the door was open.
She claimed that. But evidence proved otherwise with her banging on the damn door. Otherwise, nobody would have heard her yelling.
Well, that's what I'm trying. I find it quite odd that at the same time I don't, because we know how these white devils be working. How the fact that they're not interviewing, they haven't interviewed. They haven't taken any interviewing from anybody in the building. It was her lawyer, his mother, Mr. Botham's mother, who hired a lawyer, and obviously also, they messing with the wrong person. Number one, because this woman, his mother, is also a friend of the prime minister of the island that they're coming from. I'm not sure if anybody knows this, that the brother who was killed is an islander. So he's not an indigenous Aborigine. Okay, but he's still a brother of color. You feel me? And so many of us out there, we see them killing so many brothers and sisters who are indigenous Aborigines, who don't, regardless if they know that they are or not, but they are. If your mother's mother's mother is from America, your mother and your grandmother and your great grandmother are indigenous Aborigines. You just don't know that. You need to go find that out for yourself. But this brother was born on the island of Saint Lucia. He was born on the Caribbean island of Saint Lucia. So he was basically an islander. Okay, his mother is an islander too, and his mother, matter of fact, I believe, works for the government, or I guess the system on the island. She has an office. She works for them. She's worked with the prime minister. She knows the prime. She's a good friend of the prime minister, and the prime minister who came over here to speak on her behalf and also see what's going on, because now they took out a brother who's not basically a U.S. citizen. If he is or not, I'm not sure, but I know this much: he wasn't born here in the States. He was born on the islands. Come to find out, the prime minister is a white man. That's what I mean. The prime minister is a white man.
It looks like she messed up big time there.
Yes, big time. Exactly. You feel me? But you know what? It ain't going to stop nothing. It ain't going to stop nothing, because, things, it still goes on. It goes on. You feel me? It ain't going to stop nothing. Yeah. So at the same time.
Which is the problem, the system that we live in. Because
exactly.
They don't change anything. They don't want to rectify anything. And they keep trying to sweep these situations under the rug.
Yeah.
So now they've quieted the voice of parents and protesters and those who are still trying to keep the movement alive. So they change laws, make differences. We're going to have to do stuff, at least we've said before, because we're tired of the system, the way it's working, that no matter what we do, they put in people these office. Once they're in there, they don't do what they promise. They don't do what they say they're going to do. And so we're stuck with people who claim something to get the vote and do the opposite once they get in there.
That's true. And, and that's why we basically, the system is not a reflection of us. The political system, the power structure in this system is not a reflection of us. If it was a reflection of us, we wouldn't have the poverty that we have in this country. We wouldn't have Flint, Michigan we're in the year 2018. We wouldn't have we wouldn't have Flint, Michigan. We wouldn't have Chicago, the parts of Chicago that's infested with lead and toxins in their water. This is only affecting. This is basically only affecting those who they consider under their statistics poor and impoverished. I mean, what do you say about that?
Yep. I agree. The system was supposed to have been, according to the rules, set up for the people, by the people. And once they've changed some laws and some rules and backgrounds and changed this into corporate America and no longer a republic, now we have this system that we live in.
But you know what? That doesn't mean we can't change that. We can change the system. You feel me? First, it's going to begin with us knowing who we are. It's going to begin with us knowing who we are as a people. As it stands right now, you got so many black folks who are, especially young so-called black people who don't know who they are. Talking about the fact that Botham Jean, being from St. Lucia's, basically he's a Caribbeaner. He wasn't born here in North America. He was born on the islands. Now, rather if those islands is are part of the United States, or if it's a land that we govern, it doesn't matter. The man was born in the islands. And as a result of Trump's so-called immigration change, or his new immigration system, a lot of people got the focus on these. Got the focus on the Latinos. Got the focus on Muslims, but they're not looking at the fact that so-called melanated people, like those who from the Caribbean, those who from the islands, are being affected as well. Prime example, Foxy Brown, the rapper. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with the rapper Foxy Brown. I got her information right here. Foxy Brown says her father can't get back in the U.S. Well, come to find out, her father, yes, because he's from the Dominican Republic. He's a Dominican, okay? I'm sitting there looking at it right now, okay? And so as a result, she's trying to get her father back here because her father is from the Dominican Republic because of Mr. Trump's his messed up, racist immigration system that he's put together. It's affecting though affecting those who have left and trying to come back to the U.S., who've been here for years, living here, got families here. Doesn't matter if you're from the Haitian Islands, the Caribbean Islands, Dominican Republic, you can be affected. You feel me? And so her father, he's a Trinidadian. Her father's, Foxy Brown is an Islander as well. You feel me? And there's a whole lot of Islanders here living here in the U.S. A lot of people don't even know it. They've blended in with us quite well. You feel me? And it's all good because the white men conquered those islands too during the time of colonization. So they've been invaded a long time ago and living under the same oppression that we're living under. The only thing I have a problem with when it comes to these islanders is the Pan-African agenda that they be trying to bring and trying to tell us that we are African, and I got an issue with that and with them doing that. So it appears to me they are a part of the agenda when it comes to them trying to role reverse or continuing that role reversal that the white devil has done with indigenous Aborigines, trying to claim that we're Africans when we are indigenous to America. So on that note, let's go on to the next update. Unless you got something else you got anything you want to comment on, Queen, about for what I just said so far?
No.
Okay, let's go on to the next update before our show is over. The last update, and I'm probably going to continue this on into a part 2, is what's going on in Flint, Michigan. Okay, and a lot of people don't even know what's going on. A lot of people think that the water issue has been handled and dealt with, and that the people are recovering because you're not getting a whole lot of news coverage. Then you got those who do know, because they either got family in Detroit or Flint, or living around or in the area or around the surrounding area, so they know what's going on. Or somebody like myself who updates himself on these information because it's a concern of mine, so I'll be wanting to know. And so, in the year 2008, in the month of September, today being the 16th, what's going on in Flint? Okay. The update that's going on in Flint right now, then let me give you the update. They finally released money to go to Flint. Finally. And the money that the people are getting to finally fix the water and the toxins in the water, meaning they have to change the pipes out. That audio that I just played was not a complete audio cast that I thought. I thought it was a complete audio. I'm not sure what happened with that, but it's not what I thought it was. But I got an article right here, okay? And they were just, let me see how much money. They were okay in March or 28th of last year. Federal judge approves $97 million settlement in which the state of Michigan agrees to replace lead and galvanized steel water lines in the city of Flint. Okay? Last year. Now, you might say, okay, that's been a year. They're taking care of it. No. Most of the water pipes that's been replaced in Flint, Michigan is government buildings, schools, and things of that nature, county buildings and stuff like that. The residents are still suffering. The majority of the poor, so-called poor, so-called black and brown people, and even poor whites, but the majority of them are poor black and brown people, are still suffering because their water is still brown. Their water is still nasty. If it's not brown, if it's clear, they still don't trust it because it still doesn't taste clean, it doesn't smell right, and they're not comfortable with it because their pipelines are still being worked on, and they haven't gotten to a lot of the residents. They've gotten outside the residents, and they're still working outside the residents, meaning county, state buildings, government buildings, restaurants, things like that. They're doing those water lines first, and they're still working on it. So that's what's going on. And as of, let me go on down here. All righty. Okay, now, in April 6th of 2018, okay, Governor Snyder announces the end of free bottled water, so they stopped giving the people free bottled water, okay? Governor Snyder announces the end of the free bottled water program in Flint, claiming the water quality has been restored. Totally lie. The program was a part of a $450 million state federal aid package. The state had handed out bottled water and filters at several distribution points across the city, and will stop once the current supply runs out. And so, right now, as a result of what happened or what's happening in Flint, you still got people who cannot use their water in their home, and so, it's caused a serious problem. It's a financial problem on a lot of families, especially those who don't have the money. It's still a health hazard, and the children. You heard that little clip where it talks about the lead that the children are going to be suffering from. Not only the lead, but not to mention the toxins in the water, because the lead was just the beginning of what these people are suffering from, because the water itself, the Flint water that they changed their water to, that lake water, was filthy and infested. You feel me? And so it really doesn't speak to what these people are going through and what they're living through. And you know what? We need, as a people, I'm going to tell you, if I had the money, what I don't understand is this. You got millionaires, these black millionaires in this country, millionaires, black people in the entertainment industry, black people in the athletic industry. When I say athletic, I'm talking about football, basketball, baseball, even tennis, like Serena. All these can come together with their resources and help our people in Flint, Michigan. Because if I could do it, I definitely would do it myself. If I could do it, I would definitely do it my damn self. So, Queen, you want to weigh in on this? What's your thoughts?
Well, I was in a room one day and you were preparing for your show, and you played this lady who wrote a book about what's going on in Flint. And she flat out said, it doesn't just happen in Flint. They do these types of things in the poor black communities, with, paraphrasing what she was saying. So it's not just Flint, but she's recognizing that they are doing this in other small black communities, in poor communities where white people once lived and jetted up out of there. They stopped caring about the area. They stopped putting in businesses, and they find any excuse to continue to degrade the entire area. That's true. They knew about the contamination of the water system before turning it on, before turning it over. They just didn't want to wait. They didn't want to put the money into it because they were wanting to pocket that money. And she exposes that.
Yeah, I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play that next week. Her name is Anna Clark, and she wrote a book about Flint and about what's going on. Her book is very good, but also at the same time, because she's a white woman, in my opinion, she glosses. I ain't gonna say she She butters over certain things, but then certain things she's really raw and uncut about. So I'm gonna play that next week. Her book and what she says about what's going on. She talks about the history of Flint, and when she talks about the history of Flint, it made me think about every urban poor community in this country. From Chicago to Los Angeles to New York to Philly to Detroit. You feel me? And even in the South, You know what I mean? In Chicago, you know, it made me think because she talks about how these areas where there's a large influx of so-called black and brown people today at one time used to be all white. And as soon as these white people left, the wealth left as well. And when the wealth left, you got all this after effects of all this lead, toxins. It makes you wonder, what the hell is going it just don't look like an accident to me. Do you feel me, Queen?
And it looks purposely done, as if they're trying to rid the community because they were mad because black folks moved in, trying to rid them of what the people they didn't want there in the first place, so they can take it back later. But if they contaminate to the point that they've moved on, they don't care about it anymore because now they have gotten what they figure is better.
I agree. Totally. That's what it definitely. It looks that way. It really looks suspect. It really looks suspect because I mean, if you just go, I mean, I'm gonna play her next week. Because she's an investigative journalist, and so she followed the history, and she was even shocked at what she discovered. And I would love to get her book. Get her book or see if I can get her book on PDF file so I can read it myself as well. But I'm not going to name her book right now. I'm gonna bring all this up next week. I'm gonna put it in my podcast events page, her book, the name of her book, and I'm gonna talk about her book and discuss what she discovers in her book, what happened in the history of Flint, and then in the history of impoverished areas, because she talks about how this affects specifically so-called black and brown people, And she talks about the EPA and their loosely manipulative, regulated, politically motivated laws, which are so loose, which allows them basically to do what the hell they want to do as far as basically poison who they want to poison. She talks about how she mentions how in the poor neighborhoods how they play with the legality. Hello? Okay, you there, Queen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
She talks about how they play with the legality part of the EPA. The EPA allow these states with some range to go into the unhealthy percentile of poison and lead in waters. They allow them a range to go into. And there's a range they can't go over, but that range that they are allowed to go into still is in the unhealthy range, and the EPA allows this. And the laws that they have, she says. So I mean, I'll talk about this next week, but it's a trip. But I personally believe it's politically motivated and racially motivated. And I'm gonna say it again: these white devils know who we are. They know we are not no damn African Americans. They know that.
Yeah.
They know who the majority of so-called, who they keep calling. I said these white devils in state, federal, county government offices who are regulating other departments with the same agenda to call us African American, regardless of who we call ourselves, regardless of what we write down, regardless of what we tell other people not or to call. They have made a decision to call us African American, and that's an agenda. I've said it before and I said it again. I'll never forget before House Negro Barack Obama left office. I believe it was in May of 2016. He wrote into federal law that all so-called people of color in America are African American. Who the hell this black devil or biracial African devil think he is? I'm going to be honest with you. That's how I felt. That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, who the hell this African biracial devil think he is, labeling me? He ain't my daddy. He had nothing to do with me coming into this world. He ain't my mama. I mean, for real, it really personally pissed me off. You feel me? So it's going to take us. It's going to take us as a people. It's going to take brothers who are still working hard, like Brother Dan Calloway. You feel me? Working hard to bring out truthful historical information that these white devils have hidden from us. And a lot of times they didn't hide it. They just don't talk about it. It's sitting right there in the archives. It's sitting right there in the libraries. It's sitting right there in the books and sitting right there in the records for us to read and go read ourselves. And they don't count on us going in to read those records or pull up those archives. And that's what we need to do as well. I encourage all people who consider themselves Black Americans, whose families and their grandparents and mothers and great-grandparents have roots in this country going all the way back to the 18 and earlier hundreds in this country, to research your family tree, find out who you are, and talk to your elders and your grandparents and your great aunties and your great uncles. Speak to them and believe what they say over what the white devil says. Never believe a white devil over your parents. You feel me? Go ahead, Queen. You got anything, any last words you want to say before we get out of here as well?
I think you pretty much covered it today.
Okay, you think I pretty much covered it, huh? I'm still getting this thing going, doing this live podcast. I can't wait till I get me a new camera, so I can have a new camera. I'm have at least 2 cameras going on, and I'm trying to get my backdrop going and get my indigenous stuff going. It's gonna be nice, and I want to have a show where people can interact and people can ask questions, not only from my my radio broadcast, which is Spreaker, but also from YouTube, and people can feel comfortable talking. And hopefully I get my queen back on as well, get her back on, and I appreciate her joining me today on this subject matter. Just an update. Today was just basically an off-the-fly update. I didn't want to go into writing down and putting together a whole bunch of information and organizing a monologue. I just feel like, let me just do an update today. My thoughts on what's going on, my thoughts on, the situation, what happened with the Dallas. I thought that was crazy. It's very obvious that sister, I don't know what her intent, not sister, because she's definitely not a sister. Let me get that correct. That white officer, that white woman officer, I don't know what her agenda was, but we do know this much. Her agenda was not to save a life. Her agenda had nothing to do with her walking into her apartment either. Her agenda had nothing to do with her walking, regardless if she was high, drunk, or if she had an agenda and had a plan, and she knew it doesn't either way it go. She was at fault, and I personally don't believe this was like no random accident, because if she was high and drunk, that's still her fault. That's still her fault. That means she did something unprofessional, and as a result of her unprofessional behavior and actions, somebody ended up dead. So, or if it's just the fact that she had an agenda and she purposely killed that brother. Do you feel me, Queen?
Yes, please.
So either way it go, that looks suspect. The whole situation looks suspect. You feel me? And and it seems to me that these white devils do things under the cover of conspiracy and suspect, meaning that you can't say definitely, but you can definitely see that something don't look right, something don't smell right, and that means 9 times out of 10 something is not right. Do you feel me? And so,
yep, I hear you.
On down to the Serena Williams thing. We are, I was saying, I'm not sure if you caught it, Queen, before you came on, but I was sharing with the community that I personally believe that they took that from Serena because she's constantly whooping them white girls' asses in the U.S. Open. What do you got to say?
It's quite possible. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, as it is right now, they pretty much try to keep her from having too many, endorsement deals. They keep giving it to these blonde-haired white girls, even though they're not better players than her.
Okay, well, you know what? I was reading her record, Queen. The girl got a record that can't nobody touch. She has a record that can't nobody touch. Look, she has 23 Grand Slam single titles. Did you hear me? She has 23 Grand Slam single titles. She has, let me see. Serena has won a major tournament in 3 consecutive decades as a group in a women's tennis that only includes her. She's the only one that's won. She's the only one that has won major tournaments in 3 consecutive decades, and so she's the only one that holds that record. And that is that she is the longest winning spanning between majors of. She has the longest winning span between majors of any woman in an open tennis title from 1999 to 2017. Do you hear me?
I hear you.
She has seven Australian wins. She has the most matches of an Australian Open. She has the most WTA titles. She has the most prize money. She has the most matches won among active players. She's been ranked number 1 in the WTA in history when she replaced Victoria. This girl ain't no joke, LaSharice. You feel me?
No, she's not.
I mean, I'm just looking at her stuff right now. I'm looking at her stuff right now. It's the gold medals. Let me see. She has the record of tennis medals at the Olympics. She has the record for tennis medals at the Olympics in tennis. Serena shares the record of most Olympic medals won by a tennis with her sister. They've each won a single medal and 3 for their double play. My goodness. Like I say, I mean, I'm looking, if you come in here and you look at her stuff, she has a record against top 10 players. she has the slam. She has all I said, like I say, they took that from her because they tired of looking at her. And so, you know what, though? And she took it like a pro and like the professional that she is. She was only mad at the fact that she knew what they were doing. She knew exactly what them white devils were doing.
And she called them out on it.
Exactly. She wasn't mad at the girl because the girl who made it up there to even play her, she had to work hard to even get up there. Do you feel me? So...
Yeah, she respected her opponent.
Yeah. Well, she even kind of told the crowd to chill out because they were booing the girl. They were booing Naomi Osaka. But as soon as Serena got up there, all of a sudden the crowd got loud and was clapping for her. She said, "Don't boo her, not to boo Naomi." She was telling them not to boo her because, she deserved it. She worked hard. You feel me? So it was not her. Yeah. It's the white devils.
She played hard.
Yeah, it's the white devils who run the game. You feel me? It's the white devils behind the thing. You feel me? And so she understood that. She got nothing against the girl. That girl played hard. She worked hard. And regardless of the fact that the umpire was set against Serena and whoever was pulling his white devil strings to make sure she was not going to win that, you feel me? Because they wanted to give it to that Japanese girl. It's all good. If you look at her record, she got enough she can give away. She can give away 2 or 3, and she still be on top. You feel me? For real. I'm looking at her record right now. If you come look at this, you'll be like, what the hell? This girl got so many awards, so many championships, so many trophies that she can give 2 or 3 away, and it wouldn't even fade her. So it's all gravy and potatoes. But we know what them white devils did. You feel me? So on that note, this was just a Black Village update. You feel me? Touching on some things I want to touch on, and I've touched on them. You feel me? I will be back next delicious Indigenous Sunday, dropping nothing but the raw and uncut, as I always do here on the BlackVillage Community Podcast. And you can chime in. Won't cost you a dime, just a bit of your conscious time. You can join in at 857-232-0155. Again, that is 857-232-0155. And don't forget the conference key to get through the conference door to sit with me and my queen in our chat room, Black Village. You feel me? At that conference code is 947595. Again, that is 947595. If you want to join us in our live village chat room, or you can sit here and you can join me here on YouTube doing my thing. You feel me? I do my thing. I'm gonna do this every Sunday. I'm gonna do a live thing on YouTube so you guys can see what Afro Black look like. You feel me? The indigenous one. You feel me? This is Afro Black. You feel me? The indigenous one. And mind you, I'm gonna talk to you. You got them Pan-African house Negroes out there talking about you call yourself Afro Black and you indigenous. Boy, I'm gonna break you guys off on that. I got some knowledge. I'm gonna break you guys. Number one, you need to go study what Afro means. Go research that. The word Afro. Go research it. Get ready, because I'm gonna educate you guys on my name, Afro Black. Even the word black bones. You feel me? Because Afro Black is an anagram for my internet name, which is Aphrodisiac Black Bones. I'm going to break you guys off on it. Ain't got nothing to do with no African nothing. Matter of fact, the Afro movement, or the so-called black movement that went on here in this country, had nothing to do with no African anything. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to connect. I'm going to talk about the us and the Black Panthers and all that, which was a part of the black movement. Because the us, which was Dr. Karinga, that's African crap. That ain't got nothing to do with us. And I got my thoughts on Dr. Karinga as well, about who he is and what he was doing and what he was a part of. I'm glad the brother's still here. Wonderful. But I got my thoughts, and I'm going to share my thoughts about that Negro and his so-called us movement. You feel me? So on that note, I got to end my podcast because my podcast is only from 3 to 4. And so I got to go, but I'll definitely be back the next Indigenous. You feel me? I said Indigenous Sunday, dropping nothing but the raw and uncut here on the Black Village. And I'm going to tell you, if any of you guys are trying to maybe say something to me on YouTube while I'm doing this and I'm not saying nothing back, I'm going to let you know. I got my radio broadcast going on and my information right here, which I'm paying attention to. And a lot of times I pay more attention to my conference room. If you want to actually communicate with me or talk to me or even share something, you should really join my conference room, which is a toll-free number. Again, that's 857-232-0155. Conference code 947595. Now, I'm getting ready to shut it down today because my podcast is getting ready to be over with, but you can catch me next Sunday. You brothers and sisters on YouTube, you can still see me on YouTube and you can call in. You feel me? You can call in and you can hear me and talk to me through my conference room. You feel me? And yet communicate, because I can communicate. I can hear you. I can hear you in the conference. But I can't hear you on the YouTube. I only can see you on the YouTube. That's a separate screen I got going on. You feel me? So I will definitely be back. Definitely be indigenously, aboriginally. You feel me? Not black, but I'll definitely be back because I'm not black. I'm brown. You feel me? Queen, you got any last words before we go? Tell the conscious community, the indigenous, aboriginal conscious community, because we ain't no Pan-African Negroes around here. I don't think so. Queen, get at it.
Just remind my peoples to educate yourself, know your history and where you're from, and to stay united. Peace.
Okay, you heard my queen. She said, "Yeah, we gotta inform ourselves. You feel me? We gotta know the truth. We gotta care about the truth. We gotta stop listening to the white devil and his house Negroes out there dropping that propaganda. That propaganda. What propaganda? That Pan-African propaganda. Pan-Africanism is cool for the Africans, but we in America. This ain't Africa. You feel me? Again, we in America. This ain't Africa. And, again, if any of you brothers are trying to get at me on YouTube, and right now I can't get at you right now because right now I got something else going on. I'm not, I'm just doing my thing live on YouTube. I'm not really right now because I got something else going on. It's all good. Meet me next week and get at me through my free conference room. Again, that phone number, 857-232. Write it down. Got a pen? Write it down. Write it in your head. Remember it. 857-232-0155. Again, area code 857-232-0155. And the conference key to get through the conference door to sit with me at my live, and you can hear me and I can talk to you and we can vibrate, you feel me, is 947595. Again, that's 947595. And I'll be back next Indigenous Sunday. So I'm going to end my live podcast and I'm going to end my show because I got to go. But I will be back. You feel me? Indigenously back. Not black, but back. Dropping nothing but the raw and uncut. This is JC, a.k.a. Afro Black. You feel me? Dropping nothing but the raw and uncut. So I got to go, peeps. Much love. And may the great mother bring us together under the wings of her peace, love. You feel me? So that's for those on YouTube. I got to go. I'm cutting you off. I will be back. I'm ending that session. And at the same time, I got to end this session here on my radio broadcast. So on that note, people, as I was just saying, may the great mother bring us together under wings of her peace, love, and joy. I got to go. I'm out of here. I will be back. Peace and love. Outie.
Yes, city you led.
From fine, the children's blood tests revealed high exposure to lead. So how did Flint's water supply become contaminated? To save money,
Barack Obama drank the water trying to put us at ease while our people were still dying from Legionnaires' disease. And not one pipe has been replaced and not one hole has been dug because they trying to sweep the water crisis under the rug. And thanks to Dr. Mona Hanna for exposing the biz on how contaminated water been affecting our kids. And only God can judge mattress. Plus, when I think about the kids, it brings a tear to my eye. The EPA just stood by and left us out here to die. Phony celebrities keep coming, claiming that they support us. But we need money in Flint and not just some cases of water. City of lead.
Residents have been subjected to drinking water with elevated levels of lead. Complaints to authorities fell on deaf ears. In addition to the presidential meeting today, 2 class action lawsuits are being filed today, blaming high-level government officials for the toxic water. On the list of people being sued, Michigan Governor Rick Snyder, a Republican who acknowledged in an interview that the Flint water crisis is his Hurricane Katrina.
God save our city.